Senate incumbents in Wyoming. And there's other reports of Jared Kushner and whatnot running for some Senate seats. I'm just dreaming here. How awesome would it be if you had like 3 or 4 of them in the Senate? Drive McConnell crazy. But look, I want to play. I'm not the only one talking about this sort of civil war. The other day, a couple of days ago, on Laura Ingraham, Rand Paul was talking to Laura about what would happen over impeachment. And if you remember correctly, I talked about how this impeachment isn't really about Donald Trump. I mean, it is. It's about Donald Trump and getting sort of cleansing the country as quote unquote, and cleansing the Republican Party and barring him from leaving office and stripping him and getting him back and blah 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 blah. And we're just gonna keep clicking the impeachment button until he goes away. I mean, that's part of it. The other part of it is returning to the old norms of Republicans in their place and the Democrats in their place. The progressives. I mean, both the Democrats are holding off the progressives, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But half of this impeachment is about the future of politics, okay? And I'm not the only one from our side talking about it. Here's Rand Paul talking to Laura Ingraham.
Surprised that your colleague Mitch McConnell at least has left open the possibility that there will be a Senate trial, and when Trump is already in Florida?
Well, I don't often get asked my advice from leadership how they should react, but my unsolicited suggestion would be this. They will destroy the Republican Party. If leadership is complicit with an impeachment, or if leadership votes for an impeachment, they will destroy the party. And like I say, I have opposed President Trump when I thought he was wrong. I've been for him when he was right. We did a lot of good things throughout the Trump presidency. And impeachment is purely a partisan thing. It's for these moral, I'm so much better than you and you're a bad person because I'm so moral. These are the kind of people that are going to do this. Look, I didn't agree with the fight that happened last week, and I voted against overturning the election. But at the same time, the impeachment is a wrong-headed partisan notion. But if Republicans go along with it, it'll destroy the party. A third of the Republicans will leave the party.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't about whether it was a right or wrong debate. Yeah. It wasn't about, this isn't about anymore about the Electoral College. It's about the future of the party and whether you're going to ostracize and excommunicate President Trump from the party. Well, guess what? Millions of his fans will leave as well.
America.
So you hear that? 1/3 in Rand Paul's prediction will leave. But I think it'll be more than that. More than 1/3 will leave, and that's where the opening comes in. I said it last episode, and now it's great to hear other people echoing my sentiments. If the Republicans, they only had 10 in the House, they had 197 vote against impeaching President Trump. 10, Liz Cheney, one of them, voted to impeach. If the Senate convicts Donald Trump, pre or post presidency, it doesn't matter, bars him, does all that jazz. Donald Trump will use his strength to start a new party, and he will get it faster and stronger than the Republican Party. It'll be like nothing you've ever seen from the Whig Party to the Republican Party transformation back in the 1800s. Because again, if you want to start a party, you know what you need in all these states? In half these states, you need to gather signatures. And then some of these states you need to be like, well, you need to get like 2% of the gubernatorial vote in order to win. You have to run somebody for governor or some sort of seat. And folks, I'm telling you, he would be the one to do it. You don't think Donald Trump could hold a rally in every state and gather 50,000, 100,000 signatures of different people and get them verified to start a party? I mean, the threshold's pretty low in most states. Okay, if the Green Party, if some random camel party, whatever, can get it in California. Now, some states are higher, like North Carolina. They have a higher threshold. They only got like 4 registered parties there. But nonetheless, he could get it, and he could start a Trump party. And some people would say it would be a split in the vote. I don't honestly think so. I don't think it would split the vote. Now, I'm not saying we're going down that route. I don't think they'll convict them. We don't know yet. If they don't do it, and it just opens up a wound for a split in the party, and these primaries start popping up everywhere, starting with the Trump family in places like North Carolina. That'll be an open seat, but you get my point. So the future of the party, the future of the country is at stake. And I understand some people are probably out there listening, you need to put country over party and blah. Well, in this argument, first of all, I don't really think it's an impeachable offense. Number one, if you look at the facts, I won't get into that. Number two, when half the country's Republican and half the country's Democrat, or some large portion of it, if you take care of your party, you're kind of taking care of the country. That's just a quick way to look at it. Another thing, why the heck? Try not to get that explicit thing on my Apple Podcast. I'm trying to keep this family friendly. So why the heck would you overthrow? If you're Lisa Murkowski, if you're a Mitt Romney, why would you overthrow somebody who got the highest support, the most amount of votes, percentage and actual total wise, of Hispanic and blacks? Mitt Romney. I was looking at the data. So here we'll go through a quick statistical anomaly here. Let me pull it up here, because Donald Trump outdid Mitt Romney and outdid John McCain. So Mitt Romney did better than John McCain. So we'll just read off Mitt Romney's, and then I want to read off both of Donald Trump's 16 and 20 to show you the improvement. So Mitt Romney gets 26% of the Hispanic vote in 2012. Okay? Now, what do you think? Everyone take a guess. I won't play the whole Jeopardy 30 seconds. I will take a guess what you think Donald Trump was in 2016. And remember, 2016, build the wall. He's racist. Immigrants out. All this other jazz. Yet Donald Trump ends up with 30% of the Hispanic vote. Donald Trump ended up with 8% of the black vote, while Mitt Romney ended up with 6% in 2012. So clearly an improvement. And if you remember, after the 2012 loss, what the Republicans were saying were they need to get with the Democrats' agenda. They need to join the Democrats if they want to have a chance at winning elections in the future and winning Hispanics and black votes and blah, blah, blah. Now let's break it down by Democrat. Well, let me go to 2012. 2020 Hispanic numbers. Donald Trump won 32.5% of the Hispanic vote in 2020. So, build the wall, he gets 30%. Everything they've thrown at him of racist, bigot, homophobe, blah, 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 insert Republican here, say the typical Democrat playbook line. It didn't work, and he grew a Hispanic vote. And the black percentage of people that voted for him, 12%. 12%. So he increased 50% of the black vote. And by the way, that's blacks and Latinos. Blacks are 13% of the voting electorate, and Latinos are also 13% of the voting electorate. While in 2016, I apologize here. In 2016, Hispanics were 11% of the voting electorate, and blacks were 12% of the voting electorate. While in 2012, so Mitt Romney's year, Hispanics were 10% of the voting electorate, while blacks were 13% of the voting electorate. So 2012, 2020 were the same. A lot of that's the Obama, surge he was running in 2012. But from 2012 to 2016, Trump has doubled what Mitt Romney got in black support. He went from 6 to 12. And he went from 26% of Hispanic vote to 32.5% Hispanic vote in 2020. So Donald Trump has grown the party. And you want to get rid of him? Supposedly we need minorities to win. And here Donald Trump is growing it. I mean, you had Ice Cube, you had rappers coming out and endorsing Donald Trump from the black community, and yet you want to get rid of him? No. This is about restoring order in the Republican Party and going back to the way it was, because they're losing power and they know that the Trump movement, the MAGA movement's getting ready to take over, and then they can't take over. They can't do it if we self-suppress ourselves with this, we'll never win another election again. Yeah, in Philadelphia, Yeah, we'll never win another election again in Seattle or New York City. But in rural America, where we have our own districts and the populations grow and everything's fair and square, we will win. We will win another presidential election. I guarantee it. Because things that were also unusual about this election that also made it easier for them to cheat. All y'all here already know about the, how should I say this? The lowering of standards that were placed by the governors and stuff that we've already talked about with state legislators that make it easier for them to cheat in these cities. Oh, you know what? Because there's a pandemic, we're going to have higher mail-in voting. Oh, you know what? Therefore, we're going to take the signature verification down from 80% to 40%. Oh, we're going to take it down from 3 signatures to 1 signature. By the way, none of this is approved by state legislators. All approved by governors, which is unconstitutional. It's going to go through courts. But you still need to voice your conscience. Voice it. If you don't voice it, you also don't get to have the voice to complain about it. That's why they say those who don't vote can't complain. I say those who don't voice it by voting and by in person out in their usual lives, they also don't get to complain. But that's also what makes 2020 totally interesting, is all of the pandemic differences. In a non-pandemic year, it's so much harder. It is so much harder for Democrats to cheat, for these cities to do things like that, because in some of these places they claimed, we can't have poll watchers in here because they gotta stay 6 feet apart and you can't have this many people in the building. So they were using all the pandemic excuses, like we've already talked about. So they make it harder. But when we return to normal, once they give the trophy to Biden and praise him and stuff, we will slowly go back to normal, and we will be able to win elections again. But we cannot self-suppress ourselves. We've got to get our hope up. We've got to put this behind us, and we've got to understand it. Yes, we were cheated, but we can still win. That's the message I have for you today, and that's the message of the Republican Party. Because if you want to take back the Republican Party, or continue it for that matter, and have our guys win primaries, you've got to show up and vote. And I know we're 2 years out, and you're already eager to crack a ballot box again. But voice your conscience over the next 2 years. Be loud as you can. Because if we can hold these folks accountable while they fight for us in Congress, that'll be a win. Well, folks, that concludes today's episode. We'll be back in 2 more days here. Next episode, we're going to break down the Biden agenda for the first year. I want to talk about what to expect, what we can do to continue to voice our conscience, to stop it. And we'll talk about his cabinet appointments, what things he's going to undo of Trump, what that looks like, how that might actually unself-suppress us, how it might motivate us more, and what we can do moving forward. So we'll talk about that. Currents Corner, like I said, will be every Thursday, Friday. And again, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, theological insights, email me at rightmindedpodcast@gmail.com. That's rightmindedpodcast@gmail.com. Well, folks, we will see y'all in a couple of days. Stay well, y'all. Stay well. Voice your conscience.